Thank you.
Okay, so that is actually a really great segue to what I want to share. I want you guys to know that we are going to send the recording of this out, and I also am happy to share my slide deck as well. If you want those, please put your email in the chat now, and I will download that after the recording is over so that we have them. That's a good piece of housekeeping to take care of first. So that way I can make sure that you get the slide deck. And I have a little bonus for you as well. So pop your email in the chat. I say that because I don't want you to feel like you have to be looking down, taking like insane notes. I really want you to focus and listen and absorb and not feel like you need to just be writing every single detail down because you will get these assets afterwards. So okay. Before we get started, I just want to make sure that you guys can see my screen. Yes. Okay. Awesome. And okay. I'm going to bop back and forth between the Zoom and my slides just because I don't want to miss if somebody is trying to come in, which somebody just is. So just excuse my eyes if they're kind of bouncing around. Let me make sure these are perfect. Okay, awesome. So today we're going to chat kind of like if we were in a college setting. Some of my previous workshops that you might have been on would be the equivalent of marketing 101. This is going to be email marketing 201. And this is going to be a little bit more advanced, not too high level where it's going to go totally over your head. But if you understand the benefits of email marketing and you have some understanding of why it's beneficial to your business and how it works, this is really going to be that next layer to help you take action when it comes to email marketing. So we're going to go really deep into what kind of emails you're sending. I have a fantastic example from a realtor that I want to share with you guys and kind of break down step by step why I think it's fantastic what she's doing. And I'm going to give you some really clear ideas that will help you stay consistent with email marketing through the end of the summer. So stay tuned for that and we'll workshop a little bit together at the end. All right. I want to just make sure that you guys can see these fully. So really quickly, I don't like to waste time talking about myself because it's really boring and you can visit me on Instagram to just learn more about me. But I always like to share this because while Christina does give a beautiful endorsement of who I am and my professional background, I do think that it's important if you're going to choose to spend an hour listening to somebody that you know that that person is qualified to teach you, right? I think that that's very reasonable. So my name is Steph Paradiso. I'm the owner of Inspired Social Co. We are a marketing agency that is based out of Southwest Florida, but I am originally from Long Island. I met Christina back when I was living there. We moved here almost 3 years ago, and it's been a really cool journey to kind of see how I can marry the two markets together. I still have lots of clients back in New York, and I do travel there about twice a year. But a lot of them come here as well, which in the wintertime is actually a really nice, quick little trip. So, inside the agency, we really focus on strategy first. My background is as a strategist. I'm a certified digital marketing strategist and I have an MA in communications from Hofstra. And so, really looking at data and creating an informed plan of action as to how my clients can move forward and meet their business goals through really strategic marketing tactics is what we specialize in. We really kind of have the running joke that we won't even look at a client and consider them for a discovery call if they are not willing to utilize email marketing. It really has become just one of the cornerstones of every single marketing plan that we create for our clients. And it is so pivotal, just as Christina said before, with social media and the environment right now and how volatile TikTok is, even if you don't use TikTok as a primary platform and that's not where your leads are coming from, it just shows us that we don't own our social media. And these companies are businesses. At the end of the day, they're businesses and they're going to do whatever is best for them to be profitable. And that sometimes does not take into account what is best for the consumer on the app, right? And so it is not a place where you own your contacts. You own your email list and your website and your blog. That is your owned digital real estate, but your social media pages are not owned. And while it is not email or social media, we absolutely say, let's get as much visibility as possible on all these different platforms. What's really great about email is that you can control it. And so we're going to talk a little bit more about that in just a second. I said I like to make these collaborative and conversational. So I would love to know in the chat, please let me know about your current email strategy. Do you have an email list? Are you utilizing it? You can also feel free to share if that list is through like a CRM that your agency offers you. If you do have an email list, let me know if you're utilizing it often, if you're being consistent. Like, let's just share the current state of your email marketing and don't be shy because it's totally okay to say you don't have a list or you are not utilizing the list to your advantage because that is very, very common. I just had a fantastic discovery call yesterday with a business that is doing $2 million in sales a year, and they have an email list of 200 people because they're not, it's not because they only have 200 customers, it's because they are not focused on growing it. And so it is totally possible to find success in your business without email, but you can have even more success, scale your business, and drive more revenue when you do layer in that additional strategy. Okay, awesome. Okay, so no list at the moment. Let's see what other common responses. I have an email list, but you're a franchise owner. Okay, yeah. So I would, Malia, I would look and see what what is compliant and what you actually do own. That's a really good point. Hosting it through your CRM, not being consistent. Yeah, all common things, all really, really common things. So I think it's great to kind of know where your starting point is. And then hopefully by the end of today, you will be able to send an email. Perhaps it will be your first email, but you'll definitely have the tools and the knowledge to be able to do that. And so with that, what you can expect from the next half hour or so, we are going to establish why email marketing is a really effective tool. We're going to develop a strategy for your email marketing efforts. I'm going to share with you a real life example of an email. And we're also going to develop a content calendar that is going to be like a living, breathing document that you can actually utilize to send consistent emails every single month through the end of summer, which will set you up for a lot of success as we go into fall and Q4. So I'm going to really boogie through a couple of these slides because these are really just data and points that I like to share to essentially get you on board with email marketing. Sometimes people feel as though it might be a waste of their time because the thought is maybe people don't read email as often as they used to. But the truth is, email is really powerful. It has a strong ROI. It's actually the most bang for your buck when it comes to digital marketing. Email marketing generates on average an ROI of $42 for every dollar spent. So that is really strong. Also, consumer preference lies with email. 60% of consumers prefer email over social media for brand communication. We talked about ownership, right? You own your email list. It's also algorithm proof. So email does not rely on an algorithm. It's either they open it or they don't. So it really increases the chances of engagement and actually getting eyes on your brand. And I also really like email because you can create longer form content. The intention when somebody sits down to check their email is that they're going to read email. The intention when somebody's on social media is kind of just to scroll mindlessly. So you really do have more of their attention captured. And because of that, you can share longer form content, which I will show you this great example that has multiple different points, multiple different pieces of information in the email that would not be suitable for social media, but it is very effective via email. I also love to bring up this stat because I think that it is just so important to understand that email marketing is nearly 40 times more effective at acquiring new customers. So taking those leads, warming them up, and then converting them into a purchaser, 40 times more effective than Facebook and Twitter, now called X combined. The data really does support this. 91% of adults in the United States use email daily, and emails do encourage purchasing 3 times more than social media due to the fact that you can directly link, and there's no sort of like backwards way that they have to go and then find that link, go to your bio, or maybe click a link in stories. It also really has the superior ability to drive customer acquisition. And so if you're not using email and you are seeing good customer acquisition, just imagine if you had email and social strategies on top of what you're already doing. It would really like 10x your efforts. So the bottom line really is that sending emails regularly will help boost your revenue. And it will also provide really valuable data that you can use to make decisions in your business. Email service providers can show you open rates, who's clicking on what, consumer habits when it comes to what they're doing with your emails in the inbox. And this is really powerful. It tells you what people are interested in, what they want to know more of, and it can help you define a very curated content strategy. So that way you're not just wasting time creating pieces of content that you're unsure whether or not your audience actually wants to consume. So we love data, we love numbers, and the best thing you can do as a business owner is take that data and then create an informed decision so that you can create a strategy that gets results. Okay, now that we have an understanding of email, I want to share my handy dandy little map that if you've ever been on a webinar with me before, then you've seen this. And every single client that I have probably thinks that I have this tattooed on my body somewhere because this is what we share any chance we get. The buyer journey is so, so important. When I have clients come to me, they say, I've had content go viral, but I didn't see any sales from it, or I didn't grow a substantial following from that piece of content. And that is because a reel going viral or a TikTok getting a lot of attention is just the very beginning of the buyer journey. Your content is what we would call the attraction stage, creating something that lives out in the public, that attracts people to your brand, to your account, and it introduces them to who you are. Sales do not happen in attraction. People have to move through the buyer journey and go through an awareness stage where they really get to understand your brand, what you offer, who you are as a business owner, then into consideration where they start to think about what it would be like to work with you, right? Or to utilize one of your products. And then moving into conversion, which is then where they become a paying customer or client. We cannot go from attraction to conversion. That does not happen, right? We cannot skip awareness and consideration because these are key parts of the buyer journey. Can it be that somebody finds you in the attraction stage and moves very quickly to conversion right away? Yes, this happens a lot on social media, especially with very small impulse purchases. But typically, when we are trying to sell insurance or selling a home, they really need to go through all of these stages. And the fifth stage here, loyalty, is when somebody comes back to you, of course, when they have another need for your services or refers you, which is a really important key piece of your business as an agency owner or an agent. You really want that loyalty to create that referral army. And the great news about email is that we can really go through all of these stages just through that one marketing tactic. So not only does it have this fantastic ROI, it is a really, really good use of your time because you're able to hit all of these different stages in the buyer journey and nurture your leads. So we did in the chat earlier talk a little bit about sort of the state of your email marketing right now. So a lot of people don't have a list or they're not utilizing that list very well. And that's something that is probably the most common. They collect email addresses and then they really just don't know what to do after that. And so common struggles when it comes to email, number one, a lack of strategy. So there's really no plan in place. Inconsistency, so not really sending emails through, a schedule, more so like here and there when they have a thought pop up. A big reliance just on organic social media, which again, you don't own. Fear of being annoying, not sure what to send, or maybe lack of images or content to be able to use. So we're going to address all of these things today and make sure that these are not pitfalls that you are falling into. So the way that this workshop is designed is that we have 4 parts here. The first part is mindset, which we really just kind of discussed, right? I want you to understand why email is such a great tool. And hopefully you understand now how it can build loyalty, drive those continued purchases, allow you to stay top of mind. Next, we're going to move into developing a strategy based on your business goals. So I want you to grab a pen and paper or your phone or take notes on your laptop because we're going to kind of dig in a little bit into your business goals for Q2. The timing of this is really great. We just started a new quarter, so we're going to think about April, May, and June. Then we'll dive into consistency. This is where I'm going to help you understand what to send and when to send it. And then lastly, we'll just dive really quickly into some data decisions. So looking at your KPIs, knowing what to look for, and then making those informed decisions based off of the numbers. So an effective email that results in a conversion can absolutely say, buy my thing, right? We can share a new listing in an email, and there might be somebody that is interested in that particular listing that eventually will convert to a client. But an effective email strategy that results in recurring ROI says, this is the answer to the question that you have in your head without even asking it. It provides true value and it allows you, especially as somebody who sells a product that people don't have a super recurring need for, like it's not a consumable product, right? We're not purchasing a house or an insurance policy every other month. We really want you to stay top of mind. And so the more value you can add, the more you can nurture your leads and keep them warm, regardless of what stage they're at in the buyer journey, the more likely it is that when they do have a need for your service, they will come to you first. So, with that pen and paper or notes on your phone, we're going to set ourselves up for success. We're going to think about business goals. So, I want you to consider obviously launches or maybe new products that your home company is bringing in. Maybe there's a new type of insurance product there, any new listings that you might have. Think about when you are most busy or least busy. What services do you want to focus on, or what homes do you want to focus on in the next 90 days? Do you have a listing that has kind of been on the market for a while that needs, to be refreshed? Do you have a specific policy that you are maybe being incentivized through your corporate team to sell? Like, what are the things that you really want to focus on? Are you taking off at any point in the next couple of months? So if you're planning to go away for spring break, we want to make sure that we are taking that into account so that maybe we have some emails scheduled during that time so we're not going radio silent. Thinking about a revenue goal or how many clients you need to convert. So just think about that for a second, write those down. You don't have to have one in each of these categories. You can have maybe two or three. And if you would like, please feel free to share in the chat. I would love to know what your goals are, what you're working on. If you do have a listing that kind of needs a little bit of refreshing, feel free to share that as well. I know the wintertime, especially in New York, is a little bit harder. People are, not looking as much because of the school calendar. We're coming into a time where listings might pick up, and therefore more people will have a need potentially for policies or be looking for a new home. Okay, so Taryn says that she's focusing on life insurance. Her goal is 30 policies in the next 3 quarters. I love that. So 10 policies per quarter through the end of the year. And I love breaking that down even further. I love to go very granular with numbers. If we're looking at 10 policies over the course of 3 months, we're going to try to aim for 3 to 4 per month. And so then taking and looking at those leads, right, we're going to have to figure out lead gen. Well, we know around 1% of our audience will convert. So if you have 100 people in an email list that have not purchased life insurance for you, the likelihood of one person converting is higher, right? And so if we want to convert 3 people, we're going to need to have 300 leads that we're warming up, right? So I like to do that math and get very granular. 1% is a pretty modest conversion rate. And I know it doesn't sound like much, but that's really like across all industries. We look to see a 1% of audience conversion rate. Awesome. So once you have those goals written down, I really want you to understand who you're speaking to. Email marketing is like this direct line of communication. And so we want to make sure that when we are crafting emails, we're being really cognizant of who we are speaking to. So for example, with my emails, I am mostly, a B2B business. I am a business that works with other businesses. So I'm talking to entrepreneurs and I really want to speak their language. I want to understand what they're struggling with, what their pain points are. A lot of times I find that business owners have so many cool ideas, but they don't have the time or the resources in order to execute those, which is where my agency comes in. So I want to be able to basically get inside their head, answer questions, and showcase solutions that are the things that they want answers to without even asking me. right? And that's kind of like the secret sauce. So I've given some examples here. These are not going to be real estate specific or insurance specific because we're going to work through that right now together as a group. But I want to show you guys how this really does apply to any industry out there. We do this exercise for and with all of our clients when we onboard them. So understanding the potential customer and the current customer or the customer that we want to have come back. So the first thing that I want you to consider is a holdup, right? If somebody is a potential consumer of your product or service, what might be a common reason why they may not purchase with you? Somebody go ahead and drop that in the chat. Again, I really love participation. So go ahead and share a common reason why somebody might not purchase your product or service right now. Yeah, price, common objection, right? But let's take price a step further, Taryn. When somebody is making a large investment, right? When they're spending a lot of money, like, so if I'm buying a house, probably one of the things that is going to scare me, yes, is spending that large amount of money. But going deeper than the price, I want to know, is this a sound investment? Is the money that I'm spending on this home going to make sense, not just from an investment standpoint in 5 years from now, but from me investing in my family? Is it the right setup, right? For $500,000, am I getting the right number of bedrooms for my family, right? For insurance, if I am getting $1 million policy, is this going to be enough? Is this a good investment for my family to be able to, live comfortably if, God forbid, something were to happen to me, right? So we want to even go deeper than just the price. They're asking, is it worth it, right? Is it worth this number of dollars? Yeah, rates definitely something that people are considering. In my community here in Florida, somebody is selling a townhouse, and I really want my brother to live in the same community. So, in this person's post, she had wrote that she had an assumable mortgage, and I'm like picking up the phone. I'm like, Anthony, you got to see this. She's got an assumable mortgage. I thought the rate was going to be like from the COVID days, like a 2.8 or like a 3.5. It was like 5.7, which I guess is pretty, decent now. That's kind of like comparable to what we have going on. But like rates are the number one thing that I'm thinking of for my brother as he's purchasing his home. And I do think people are kind of waiting to see. And so addressing that, right? Making them understand what is happening, what is going to happen, or what is probably not going to happen, and why waiting might not be the right answer, right? For life insurance, there's no deadline in their mind. That's such a good one, Taryn, right? We always say, like with things like memberships, or if there's a deal that doesn't have an end date to it, people lack urgency because they think they can enroll or purchase at any time. Life insurance, same idea, right? But really, the answer to that objection is going to be the older you get, the more costly it becomes, right? So, making sure that they understand that people don't know what they don't know. And it's our job as business owners to educate in a way that speaks to their pain points so that way they feel more comfortable with this purchase. Um, yeah, will they get the results that they want? This is one that I often deal with in my agency, right? Am I going to get you the results that you're expecting? So the first thing is that we have to set expectations. What are the results that you can expect to get? And then also, can I show you past proof of what results I've gotten for clients? Well, I can share testimonials, I can share case studies, right? That sort of marketing is going to be really helpful when people are looking at results. Data really will tell a very strong story. So, a great exercise is to write down all of these objections, these needs, these desires, the holdups, right? I also do like wants and needs as well. This is really helpful. For my clients, a lot of times they want to be seen as the go-to person in their market or in their industry, right? And so, how can I help them do that? Well, my agency can get them on podcasts where they can speak and establish themselves as a thought leader, right? So I have solutions. Maybe my clients don't know those solutions yet, or they don't know that that's what I can offer. And they probably don't unless we tell them and make it really clear, right? So doing this activity is really, really helpful. And I would encourage you to continue to do that and just make this list because it will help you come up with endless content ideas, not just for email, but also for social media as well. Okay, so now we're going to get a little bit more into strategy. Now that we know who we're talking to, we need to know when it is appropriate to talk to which group of people. So segmentation in email lists is really important because we can now target our messaging and make it really specific based on who we want to share the message with. Not every message that we want to share is going to be great for everybody. I wouldn't send an email talking about getting a life insurance policy to people who already have one with me, right? I wouldn't send a new listing to clients that just purchased a home in the last 60 days, right? So we really want to get clear on segmentation. So basically, these are groups of people within your email service provider. And so we can have leads. We can have current customers who are actively searching for a home. We can have past customers. We can have your most loyal customers, so clients that have multiple policies with you. We can also have lapsed customers, so that way we can go back and try to win back their business. But all of these groups will make up your total audience. You can also have groups and segmentation based off of events or different open houses, right? So having these smaller groups just means that we can single them out and send them specific emails. Okay, now we're going to talk about actually sending those emails. So we know who we're talking to, we have them listed in groups. Now we're going to figure out what we're actually sending. But before we get into that, I want to share some best practices with you. And this will help you be more consistent. So, number one, subject line. Okay, so 80% of email users decide to open an email based off of what the subject line says. And that makes sense, right? Probably the other 20%, if it comes from a brand that they love, like for me, anytime the brand Set Active emails me, I will open it up because I'm just such a fan of their clothing. Same thing with like Aloe. But Dunkin' Donuts, I get Dunkin' Donuts every single day. There's one right across the street from my house. I go without fail. And I don't always open their emails because like it's not always pertinent. Maybe I don't drink espresso or maybe I don't want the $6 meal deal. So I look and see what the subject line is because I want to know if they're offering me something that I personally like. So 80% though, most of the time these people will look at the subject line. We love using curiosity, urgency, or personalization in the subject line. These things are proven to increase the odds of an open. Keeping it under 9 words or 60 characters so that the full email subject line can show in the preview box. And then, of course, we love emojis. These help you stand out in the inbox. Utilize them as they make sense with your brand. In the body of your email, I think a lot of times people are scared to write emails because they don't think that they're great writers or they're just not sure what to write. But I want to encourage you to keep your message in the email conversational. I think that you can definitely write emails that are less formal and more conversational because you are talking to a human being on the other side of the screen. Utilizing personalization like the person's name, also really effective. And we like line breaks, shorter paragraphs. So in school, we learn a paragraph is 4 to 5 sentences. In email marketing, a paragraph could be 1 sentence. We like line breaks because visually, if we're reading an email on a phone, it makes it a heck of a lot easier to read that text. And then lastly, call it a call to action. So one single call to action. Where are we leading this person? What action do we want them to take? That's also really important as well. So we can get that data and see what links people are clicking on and what actions they're taking. Okay, really quickly, I'm just going to share with you some email basics when it comes to sequences. We're going to get into individual emails in a second, and that's where I really want you to focus your time and your concentration. But email sequences are important to know about because over time, as you become more sophisticated with your email marketing, you can build one of these. And the place that I would start is a welcome sequence. When you get a new subscriber, a welcome sequence is a series of emails that are automatically sent to this person, typically about, separating a week's time in between each one, that introduces them to you, your brand, what you do, how you're different, answers maybe some common objections, and is really essentially like a welcoming them to your community. Also, a newsletter, which we're going to talk about, is a really fantastic way to stay consistent. I have a fantastic example to show you, so I won't spend time on that right now. Sales and promotions. So you might have a new property that you're listing, or you might have a specific product like life insurance that you want to focus on. You can create a series of sales emails, and I'll use a property as an example. You might have 4 emails that go out once a week for a month, beginning when that property goes live. And you might be featuring a room or sharing specifics about this home in a very detailed, curated way in order to promote this. Repetition is so important. People are consuming so much content, so much information on a day-to-day basis that showing them something again and again is not annoying. That repetition breeds reputation. And so you're going to be known for something the more times you say it. And that property is going to become more remembered in their head. So even if they're not interested, they might meet somebody or connect with somebody that home or that town or that location is perfect for that person. And now they can forward that email to them. Re-engagement, this is really great for people who maybe purchased homes from you 15 years ago, 20 years ago that might now want to downsize, right? This is also really good for somebody that has had a lapsed policy that we want to re-engage. These follow-up emails make sure that people understand everything that you have to offer, re-engages them, make sure that they're knowledgeable on the policies or the homes that you're sharing. And then lastly, these loyalty-based emails, which will be your referral partners and your past customers. So all of these things are important. We can build out automatic sequences and add them. So if you wanted to, you could even print out this slide and sort of hang it up on your office wall. And just over the next or even through the course of the rest of the year, you could build these out for yourself. Just kind of doing a welcome sequence maybe this quarter, and then introducing this loyalty-based email sequence next quarter. And so this is a really great way to make sure that you always have automation in your business and your list stays warm. Outside of those sequences, we want to send emails that are truly valuable, things that people feel as though they are better for having read them, right? There's nothing worse than consuming a silly piece of content where there is no value. So doesn't make you laugh, doesn't give you any information. You didn't learn something. It wasn't entertaining. It was a big fat waste of time, right? We don't want that. We want people to open your emails and be genuinely excited for the information that you're sharing. So I've given you guys a whole bunch of ideas. These are really general, non-specific ideas. But what I want you to do in the chat, take any one of these ideas here and then throw out an email idea that you can write about based off of one of these ideas. And the idea here now, there are, let's see, how many of us? There are 36 people on this Zoom. We should have 36 email ideas, which would be enough to get you through the rest of the year, right? So go ahead and pick one of these things. I will start us off for a local spotlight. If there is a new local restaurant, boutique, or shop that you have gone to, send out an email and feature that. Share what you ordered, what you liked about it, share what made it different and unique, and how the community that you live and work in is going to benefit from it. And this is fantastic for both agents, whether you sell insurance or you are a real estate agent, because no matter what, if you are living and working and selling in this community, you want to be the number one advocate of it. Let's see. Bust a myth. The color of vehicles does not affect insurance rates. Ooh, I love that. I always thought red is going to be more expensive. Top 3 life insurance myths. 5 least expensive cars to insure. Ooh, I like that too. Let's see, community updates. Attend a meeting this morning highlighting changes to our downtown Main Street. Yes, that's fantastic. I would definitely send an email about that, but also make sure we always want to go back to, why do they care? Like, why do they care? Why is this important? Um, if my home is destroyed, I'll get a payout for the market price of the home. That's a really good one. And I know sometimes it like seems really hard to make insurance or purchasing a home sexier than it is, right? And I have this thought about email marketing. Email marketing is not like the sexy, fun marketing tactic the way social media is. It's not what people want to learn about. But we find ways to make it fun and interesting and kind of have this perspective shift. And that's what I want to encourage you guys to do in your marketing as well. Yeah, Nicholas, that's a really good one. How to get your insurance ready for hurricane season. Yep. I did have an agent that I was creating emails for, and one of the big topics we focused on last year, especially with all that flooding on Long Island, was hurricane season and weather. Five questions to ask a divorce attorney before you hire them. Yes, that's a really good one. Also, I know I saw Arthur on this call. One thing that I have a client that is a mediator. One thing that we focused on a lot is seasonality. So, why do more divorces happen at certain times of the year? So, that's also a really good one, too. And there's a lot of data and statistics to support that as well. We love stats. Um, Okay, awesome. So again, I'm going to download this chat and I will share these ideas with you guys. But my tip here is to print this out, take this and then come up with two ideas for every single topic here. And then you can utilize that not just for email marketing, but also for social media. You could create reels and TikToks and carousels and Instagram stories based off of these topics. All right. Really quickly, we talked about the data and statistics. I'm just going to mention this. We'll glaze over it because I want to get to the next slide here. The KPIs that we're looking at after we send an email, an open rate. This indicates if your subject line is working. Click-through rate shows how people are engaging with your emails. Your conversion rate. This is a little bit harder because with you guys, the sales process is not just clicking on a link and then checking out. But you can see if clients are opening your emails and then if those same clients are ones that are making purchases down the road. And then unsubscribe rate. Are you sending emails that are not interesting? The unsubscribe rate will be a really big indicator of that. So these are the things that we want to take note of. All right. So when we're looking at a content calendar, my suggestion, because this is a question that comes up all the time, how often should we send an email? Um, Truly, I would love to say once a month is enough. I think it used to be, but there are so many brands that are utilizing email in a very sophisticated way now that it really isn't. I think two times a month is a nice cadence. Of course, we like to see once a week, but in order to be once a week, you have to be very, very value driven. And you also need bandwidth. And that might not be something that you could do right now. So a two email a month cadence works very well. I'm going to provide you with a resource that has a once a week per month email cadence. However, you can take those additional weeks, so weeks 3 and 4 or 2 and 4, and then move those to a different month. I'm going to literally give you ideas that will take you through the end of July. But if you're not emailing every single week and you're only doing two times a week, then you get double the amount of email ideas and probably take you through the end of the year. Before I share that guide with you, I want to just walk you through this newsletter. So, this is from somebody that is local that I recently met at a networking event. She added me to her email list, and I have to say, I'm very impressed with the way that she does her newsletter. I find it to be very valuable. She does share real estate news, so she shares updates and things that are happening in the market. You can see that here. Very helpful. But she does share things that are going on in the Naples area, different community events, different things that are actually happening in the community. It showcases that she knows about the community where she lives and sells. It positions her as a thought leader. And I just think that this is very, very well done. So I thought this was a great example of a newsletter. It does not have to be a lot of writing. In fact, you can get this market report. I'm sure there's resources in your local area where you do business in that has a market report, or even from your agency, like your corporate headquarters. But I just loved the way that this was set up. All right, last but not least, hopefully everyone has dropped their email already in the chat. If you jumped on late, please do that now because I have this really cool gift for you. Christina and I have done a lot of email classes together, and it really is so fun to be able to provide this for you guys. I love to share about email and marketing in general. Hopefully, you hear how passionate I am. And I hope that because there are so many people that I've seen on other calls, you like to come back and listen. But I was thinking about what can I do to like really make this very actionable. So I put together a resource that no one has ever seen before. And I probably won't share it anywhere else except if I do another call with Shaw in the next couple of months. It is a amazing spreadsheet that I'm going to share with you guys. And this spreadsheet has one email idea per week through July. And again, like I said, if you are not going to email every single week, you can take two of those email ideas and now you have two more for August, two more for September, so on and so forth. Some of these ideas are seasonal. Like, for example, let me see. This is like the best outdoor dining spots in insert town to try this spring, but you can change that to the best spots to try this fall that have fireplaces. I've seen articles like that before, right? So you can, mold them to fit the season or your needs. But what's really cool about this, and I'm going to actually show you my screen and then we'll jump to Q&A. We're right on the money with the timing, is that I've made it so easy for you to stay consistent because the way that this spreadsheet is set up is everything is color coded. So April, May, June, July. And then you can go here and you can click either not yet started, in progress, or sent. And then you can add the date sent here. And I have one version if you are a real estate agent, and I have one version if you are an insurance agent. So everybody is covered there. And you can also utilize those ideas for social media content too, which I think could be really awesome. You can double down on them. And then just to wrap this up and put a bow on it, your next steps, if you don't have an email service provider, go out and find one. You might have one in your CRM. I really love Flowdesk. It's what Christina and Tom use, and it's what I use for all of my clients and me personally. You're going to begin building your list. You're going to collect those email addresses. You're going to put them in your different segments. You're going to create an email calendar, which I've already done for you. If you like the one that I created, feel free to use that. And then you're going to send your first email. And I want to take it one step further. I would love to see you guys take action. So what I will do is I will talk with Shaw and we will come up with a follow-up date where we can all come on together and write our email or emails, depending on how much time you have. But we basically will do like a co-working session to get some of these emails done. So yes, everybody, Rachel, everyone is going to get both calendars. It's just in one spreadsheet. So you'll get the link and then you can have the ideas for both real estate agent and insurance agent. They're both there. But thank you guys so much. This was so fun. I'm happy to answer questions. I know we have a raffle, but before Shaw does her raffle, I would like for you to, in the chat, please tell me your favorite type of candy. And I'll share why in a second. So one of the little things about my agency is that we always have snacks. I basically don't eat real meals anymore. I'm a mom of three and I feel like I'm always in the car. So I just eat snacks. And basically my food pyramid now is Poppy, prebiotic soda, and gummy candies. And so we're going to just pick a random person here. Shaw, you can just pick somebody or Tom, and I'm going to share with you guys my favorite candy and my favorite snacks along with some inspired social merch. And I'll grab your address on where to ship that from Shaw. But that's just a little appreciation for you guys being here. Yeah, see, Anthony, you're with me. Gummy worms are my favorite, but also Nancy Ann, any dark chocolate, yes. Definitely me as well. So we can just
Love
pick.
that, Steph. You could send it to Rachel because you had mentioned Dunkin' Donuts, and we always talk, how I love my Starbucks. She loves her Dunkin' Donuts.
Yeah, look, kindred spirits. I go twice a day. It's really and I also have an Alani here too. So you can tell I have three kids and run a business.
I love it. And so, Rachel snaps. I'm Tom. Before we open it to Q&A, I am going to ask you, the first raffle is going to be for a one-to-one coaching session paid by Tom and myself with Steph. And the second raffle is going to be for her book. So, Tom, number 1 to 29.
We'll go 12.
Number 12, John H. You won a 1-to-1. That's so awesome. You are in our coaching, and I just think the world of you. And number 1 to 29 for a copy of her book.
Oh, let's go 22.
22, Lewis O. Amazing. And I think Lewis works with Dan Russo, so that is awesome.
Amazing. Thank you guys. We love prizes. You never know what we're going to give away. So definitely if we host something, please come back. I'd love to see you again. And Shaw and I will talk about a co-working session for sure. I will make sure I get all of your emails. I will send that spreadsheet. But if you guys have questions, I'm happy to utilize our next 12 minutes and answer them.
I know you have questions because you asked me questions and I defer to Steph. So
yes, wrote one. Great to share again.
Talking about open rates earlier, and I don't know if I spaced out or it was just too fast. but I think you were talking about like sending out something like 300 emails and getting maybe a 1%
Yeah.
return.
So this is great. I'd love to kind of go back to this because I think it's super important. So, what we do with all of our clients is we take a look at the goal and then we try to figure out how big of an audience they need or how many leads essentially they need to then get to that conversion rate. So, if you have 100 people on your list, 1% will convert. So that's one person, right? And this is assuming that they're qualified leads. They're people that actually are, they care about what you have to offer. And they also don't already have that policy, right? So if we had 100 people who are warm leads, we can expect one to convert. If you had 300 people that you were sharing emails with and marketing to, we would be looking at a 3-person conversion rate, give or take. Sometimes it's higher, sometimes it's lower because 1% is just an average. But for your industry, I think that that's pretty realistic. You also might just have an audience of 20 people, and those 20 leads are extremely qualified, and you've already had conversations with them. And so if you're emailing them some really valuable information, you're answering their objections, the conversion rate might be higher. But on average, we look for about 1%. So if you want to have 30 people buy life insurance from you before the end of the year, then we're looking at a list of qualified leads of 1,000 people. That would be a really good goal.
Can you just go over the line breaks? What does that look like, the line breaks?
Yeah, sure. So let me show you my notes because this will be a good example. So when we're sending emails, see how heavy this text is right here? It's just so much at one point, right? So rather than having larger paragraphs, what I would do is be breaking up my paragraphs so that they would have more line breaks in it, just like that, right? So less heavy paragraphs. Think of a paragraph in email marketing, 1 to 2 sentences. It just makes it visually easier for people to read. And then there's more likelihood that they'll actually read to the bottom. Also, in your newsletters, and this kind of just is going off on a tangent from the line breaks, but in your newsletters, feel free to share about things that are actually happening in your life to your comfort level. I have, 3 children that are ages 2, 4, and 8, and we're very busy. My oldest daughter does competitive dance. And so I do share a little bit about what that looks like. I share about how we celebrate their birthdays, and you can or cannot include photos of them if you want to. But I really find that my audience loves to know about those things, and it humanizes me. It makes me more approachable. And also consider this. You guys are the experts. People default to you because you know more than them about this subject, right? And so we really want to humanize you. We want you to be somebody other than the expert in your industry. We want you to also be a mom or a dad or a pet owner or somebody that loves baseball or somebody that loves to read good books, right? So share things that are happening in your life as well. It doesn't have to be super personal. Like, for example, if you are in a book club, what are you reading right now? Or if you're not in a book club and you just love to read, share the latest book you read. Those things can go so far and really do wonders for your brand because that's what begins to set you apart, not just as an agent, but like as somebody that someone else can connect with and be like, oh, hey, you loved the book The Housemaid by Frida McFadden. So did I. I just read that, right? Or you have 3 kids, so do I. Or your daughter does competitive dance, mine does too, right? So these personal things can also be included in your newsletter. And I do think that it makes it really fun. And you also do get a lot of engagement. Every time we send a newsletter like that out for one of our clients, they always get responses, whether it's like, oh, I'm so happy to see, so and so did so well, or I loved this book too, or I was also at that game. It's just nice for an engagement standpoint as well. Yes, Rachel, I'm also very broke. I'm going to have to remortgage my house when my middle daughter decides that she wants to do competitive dance. And I kind of almost feel like she doesn't have a choice at this point because she goes everywhere my oldest is. So we might as well just like put them in together. But yes, it is. My mother-in-law was like, "Oh, you must be almost done with dance." I was like, "No, this is actually the busiest 2 months of the season." So
Oh, it's just beginning, girl. It's
yeah,
just beginning.
yeah,
It's
it's
insane.
crazy.
Hey Steph, do you use, I really sometimes, and I'm not somebody to overthink, I am very ready, fire, aim, and believe like get it out. But I do sometimes get stuck with subject lines because I'm obsessed with my open rate, right? We're competitive. So people, and my open rate is pretty great. It's like 60, 70%. Do you ever use ChatGPT to help you?
Yes, I use ChatGPT a lot in my business. One of the biggest things I think about AI is that it will not replace people. It will just make people who know how to use AI even more proficient and will eventually save them time and make them more money. So we use it very often, and I've trained anybody that works for me on how to use it as well. So what I would suggest is don't ask ChatGPT to come up with subject lines for you from the get-go. I would say, I'm writing an email about X, Y, and Z. I've created two subject lines. Can you tell me which one is better? Right. And so then they'll say, okay, I prefer this one because X, Y, and Z. And then I would respond and say, this is great. Now, can you share 5 subject lines that you think would also be really effective? And then you can do some A/B comparison. I don't want ChatGPT to write my copy because people are still going to know a robot did it. It has to sound like you. And so I share my version first, and then I have them give improvements or suggestions or ways that they can make it stronger.
Love it.
You can also, another really good way to use ChatGPT is you can write the original email and then you can take that email, go to ChatGPT and say, I wrote this email about X, Y, and Z topic. I'm going to share it with you. Can you now write a follow-up email on this subject in the same tone and voice and text style as me? And then they
Wow.
can come back with something that is a lot more to your brand. But basically, you want to train ChatGPT. And once you've trained it and once you've used it really often, it really starts to understand how you write and your style of speaking and style of writing, and it just becomes a really useful tool for you. Yeah, that's a good question. The platform that I use is Flowdesk. I highly recommend. I'm just looking back here to see if there are any other questions. I don't think so. Anything else, guys? We have 4 minutes. Okay, so Ken says, not to be a Debbie Downer here, but how do you address the fact that more people are unsubscribing to emails when they feel they're getting too many from one particular source? So this is actually a really good question. What I always say is I don't mind unsubscribes. More than likely, it's not because they're getting too many emails. It's because the emails that they are getting are not holding their interest and attention. So you can definitely send emails 2 times a day. And if those emails have really juicy bits that people want to read, like tips and advice and, just things that will hold somebody's attention and they are true fans of the brand, then they'll stick around. But when you are sending emails that don't have that high level of value and it is in mass, people will unsubscribe. So that's the first thing that I would look at. What is the, content strategy there? What are you including? The other thing, though, is if people are genuinely annoyed at your emails or unsubscribe because they don't want to hear from you, that's actually a really good thing. It is a self-cleaning list. If you have lots of people who are just deleting your emails without opening them or putting them in the spam filter because they're not interested, it's going to decrease your sender reputation, which is not good for open rates because then your emails are going to be more likely to land in the spam folder. So we actually like the unsubscribes, but if people are unsubscribing in mass, it's probably not because they're annoyed with the frequency. They're just not getting enough value, or the emails are not meeting the expectations they had when they signed up for the list.
Okay, Steph, I think we're just about out of time, but I wanted to say thank you so much for providing this great information today. Just so, and Christina for putting it together for sure. We met Steph, I guess it was right before COVID. And Christina and myself had always used direct mail in our businesses to a pretty good extent. But when we met Steph, she really focused it and gave us a strategy. And the platform, Flowdesk, is just amazing. The information that it gives you is just, it really is incredible. I encourage everybody to take a look at that and to reach out and utilize Steph in the future if it's something that you think you're going to be doing. But thank you so much, Steph. We really appreciate
Welcome.
it.
I love that. What a great testimonial. So do you guys not do any direct mail anymore?
Us?
Yeah. Do you still utilize it?
No, I'm talking about, well, we still utilize some direct mail, but the email marketing is just, You can't get that information anywhere else.
Yeah,
The
it's so
open
true.
rates and like the stats that Flowdesk provides as a numbers driven person
Mhm.
is so incredible. I wish our systems here at Allstate provided that for us, because I always say with that, it helps me make my content. I see a 70% open rate. I know I'm putting out good content. If that drops to 20%, I'm like, hey, Shaw, you dropped the ball here. This is crappy content,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah. And
Yeah.
also sometimes what I'll do too is if I'm launching a program or if I have an offer out there and I see people on my email list that have opened the email and even have gone as far as to click on the link, I'll send them a message on Instagram like, hey, I saw you saw my email and I know that you looked into this. Like, I'd love to answer any questions you might have. Like, I'll usually send them a voice note. So it's kind of like almost having a cheat code to be able to know which leads are super warm, which you really can't get
It's
that
really
anywhere.
incredible.
Yeah.
Well, I hope everybody has a beautiful day. Steph, you rock. Thank you so much. And you will all get a copy of this training and all that good stuff from Steph. And enjoy. Ciao.
Bye, guys. Thank you
Bye.
so much.
Bye-bye.